Francesco, I see here. The David rap was too convincing. I stumbled on the podcast. Nice. Okay, so this show has been going on for years now. It used to be one show because we only had, well, it made sense to do everybody at once. But then the dojo has been growing, and the people making progress have been growing. So I can't even do it all at once. And my mic is way over here. Someone's about to say, "Hey, Baus, hey, fix that sound." So, we are now doing it 2 days in a row with the under 1,000 and then the over 1,000. In my head, it's not just a psychological barrier, but the 1,000 mark is really where, you need to stop. Well, you don't need to stop caring about material, but that's not where the game's going to be decided. Whereas the under 1,000, my experience going over these games, somebody's hanging something egregious, and that's how the game gets decided. Now, we still see people hanging stuff in GM games, so it never totally goes away. But you know what I'm saying? Like, the games can be tilted on other factors besides just the material. Okay. Quad XE, my audio's okay now, though, right? I pulled it away. I pulled it back. All right, here we go. So, here we go. And there are the people I did yesterday. And now let's look. We got a pretty good list. There's only actually 22 this week. I could have done this, honestly, in one day. When it's up to like 30 people, dude, that's when I just like, oh man, my mind starts getting bleary. And what I really want to do is spend time with the people in each cohort. Now, Wonka's over here saying that thanks for the input yesterday, but here he is again. What's going on, Wonka? Did I look at you yesterday and then what happened here, Wonka? What happened? Melbourne, Australia. Did we do this yesterday? Because you're above 1,000. I just did it quickly. Oh, right. You asked me to look over your business at the end. I remember. Good. I was thinking I broke the rules and maybe looked at somebody above 1,000. In any case, let's take a quick look again. And the idea of making me breaking up the show, by the way, is then I get a little bit more time and headspace to concentrate on various people here. So here we have Wonka 8, pretty much crushing with this rating. Huge rating gain. And then let's go back one to see how they did with this. They didn't do, well, that's kind of weird. That's not helpful. I think, if I remember right, Wonka kind of joined fairly recently, 126. Yeah. So, and if I also remember right, Wonka hasn't put in a lot of their stuff, so we don't know what they've done. It's very helpful, I think, both for yourself and for me, when I see it, other people as well, be like, oh, this is what Wonka is doing. And I say that, I feel like I know that because I remember you had several games over here. Let's look at Tower of Solitude, because Tower of Solitude is in the program. There's actually several people here I recognize, but let's just look at Tower of Solitude here, who's also been improving pretty well here. Okay, played with a clock. More ink can be spilled over a promising pin that changes the character of White's kingside, but it's held for too long and a follow-up plan was necessary. I've been playing chess forever, but 9-year-old Liam, who's in the program, actually, excuse me, the guy turned 10 yesterday, but he came up with a great pun. It was like, the pin's mightier than the sword. Oh, it's pretty good. Okay, I thought I knew all the puns. Okay, here we go. I was about to say we looked at this, but I don't think we did. Because Wonka played a different perk in a different game. Okay, Austrian attack. Now, this is one where if you wanted to be scared about playing the perk, which you shouldn't be at this level, you could be worried about this move. In the sense that you could turn on the engine and the engine really doesn't like black's position. Doesn't like black's position also after bishop e3. However, the perk at this level is fine. And what I say all the time about the perk is the way you can do it without any theory at all is just your opponent's going to do something, and then you need to focus on which of these pawns, which of these two are going to be your primary target. And so, for example, f4 is controversial because it blocks the bishop and opens the king side and does not develop any pieces. But he aims, maybe at a later date, either to smush you or to crack you open. So it's a very violent move. So I think we should play bishop g7. Let's see what is he going to do. Oh yeah, we're going to see what is he going to do. Okay. So here we go. Knight c6 looks weird to me. He decides not to push you back. And now bishop d3 does look funny. And this is what I mean by choosing a square for your pieces. And one of the things I want to just, if Tower of Solitude's listening, what Tower of Solitude's going to do in the next two moves after being confronted with this weird knight c6 is he is going to just do the standard setup with knight f3 and bishop d3. But clearly, we should talk about d5. Looks like kind of a strong move, right? Okay, boom, 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 and then you lash out with e5. Interesting move. Yeah. Now, I think it would help your opening a lot if you analyze this kind of position. What I mean by that is you'll get similar positions, and that's how you can learn this opening. h3. Why is it controversial? Because he's giving you time. And you say bishop f3, queen f3 is a clear plus to white. I don't know. I'm not necessarily convinced by that. But bishop h5 looks insane. What are we doing, Bows? What are we doing? Okay, so you have several moves here which I think are reasonable. One would be to say snip, and then after re-snip, we just move our bishop, and next move, say play bishop h5, you're looking fine. Another move you could do is what you say here, takes, and either takes here or here. Also looks interesting, right? Okay, so this looks insane because you're losing a piece. In your notes, it would be good for you to say, oh yeah, I missed it, or something like that. Now we're down a piece. Queen e2. So, definitely I would want to think a little bit about this decision from white. Bishop e2 looks like a strong contender for a better move. And your ef4 move, I think all of a sudden we got to say, you're not worse. Because what is he supposed to do? Bishop f2? Then knight e5 bows. You're killing him. So this was a full blunder, queen e2. Full blunder with queen e2. Okay. And then you release the tension. And now I'm going to yell at you, Wonka. This is if you take one thing away from what I'm telling you today, this is the one thing I want you to take. The position is nuts, okay? The position is nuts. It's time to be thinking about what's going on. And look what we have here. You've got an hour left, and you do this. Less than a minute spent on this crazy decision here, right? In fact, basically no time because you got a 30-second increment, right? Look at that. See, I'm going 1 hour and 4 seconds to 59:39. you didn't use anything, Bows. Nothing. That looks instant because you got those 30 seconds. Right? Yeah. So this is the one thing, and you are not alone in this. We see this all across the dojo, that people are moving too fast. It's a little bit about nerves. We could talk about a lot of things it's about, but it is a key thing to fix, right? You were winning, and now it's probably lost. Knight d5 seems very frisky to me. I don't get it. Why don't we just play knight d1 and then knight f2 next, and we're up a piece. Okay, so knight d5, c6, and then white's like, oh, I lost a piece. Let's look at how fast white moved. So they have 55, 52. So they spent a couple minutes, and I guess they just didn't even think that c6 was going to touch all their coconuts. So we see where the game's being decided. I want to stress it's not the opening. It's not the opening where this game is being decided. Castles, and yeah, why aren't we taken? Why aren't we taken? C takes, and you say queen h2. I don't get that. I don't get that at all. Bishop f3. No, you're doing fine. I don't know. It looks like black has got more pawns, got more things. You castle, and now you say this is winning. And I'm going to say I don't know. So, you say black invests a lot of time. That's 7 minutes. But here, we need to talk about variations. My sense is you're thinking that you are toast if you play bishop f3, but I'm not sure. Let's look. Bishop f3, queen f3, cd5. It's not clear to me at all. Let's say queen h3. Could have played queen h2 earlier. The thing to see here in this position is when you have this unopposed bishop, it's at the very least not clear that you are a crispy critter, because it's so hard for white to crack you on that square, on that color, right? It's about the color. Now, maybe it's not over yet, but it's definitely something to think about, you know? I don't know who's better here. I have no idea. No idea. I have faith that we could spend some time here. I have faith that we can spend some time here. But look, with this one, now white's up a piece. So game over. Yep. Finito della commedia. Okay. So one thing I want both players to see is we had some very intense positions, and neither player was up to the task of thinking. So let's look at the clock. This, by the way, is one of my favorite things about the dojo, is we created this, I've wanted this forever for my own games. And then I asked our amazing tech guy, Jack, I was like, boss, can you create this thing? ChessBase will not do it. And he was like, okay. And short time later, he created this thing of beauty. And so Wonka and Tower of Solitude, look at this time. Your chess will improve so much if you can think longer. And when you analyze the game, you got to be at least asking the question, what would happen here? It's not at all clear to me what's going on here. Not at all clear. We have to at least analyze it, right? And when we're at the board, we got to spend muchos times, because when you play CD5 and he plays Rook G4, oh, it's done. It's done. Okay, so this is my new thing that I have to remember. I'm going to mark this as viewed. Wonka, congratulations, spouse. You're doing well. And we're going to see Wonka. All that has to happen, let me just make a promise, is that if Wonka can slow down, the point trajectory will continue its beautiful upward slope. That's my promise. Okay, here we go. Next one. So, whoop. Next up, we have Ray, playing long games as well as OTB tournaments. I give that a thumbs up. I need to give a little thumbs up here. So, got a beautiful little jump here. And Dojo 1.0, that's always good to see. Such a different, I don't know if it's such a different, in terms of what we were doing in the training program, wasn't that amazingly different, but like we did not have this beautiful website, for example. We did not have we had a database, but it was far different than what we have going on now. So it's cool that when people stuck with us through that time. I like to think that the early people were the early adopters, right? The people who were willing to deal with the weird stuff of a website that was just getting started, you know? So Ray, thank you, Baus. Thank you. All right, let's take a look. All right, just started activity. Ray is not doing their business. Ray has been here forever, but Ray is not doing their business, not putting in their times, not submitting games. And so there's very little for me to say. Ray, I hope, Baus, that we see you again soon with some activity and some games. We need to get you a badge, Baus. We need to get you a badge, Quad. Come on. Yeah. Okay. So, next up, we have Young Jedi. Playing long time control games and going over the games with my coach. Also training different courses that cover all areas of chess and being interactive with titled players' YouTube speedruns. Okay. One thing I want to give a shout out to is you don't have to have a coach. And a coach is very expensive. We talked about this on one of our podcasts. But if you were going to supplement the program with anything, you know, coach once in a while, looking over your games, beautiful. And by the way, if you go and, look on the Discord, we have people that will look at your games and you can look at other people's games, and it's a great ecosystem we have there. Anyway, I'm just responding to the fact that Young Jedi has a coach here. So let's look. Tennis lover. I was gonna Google BJJ, and then I was like, no, Buffs, we don't. You might be Googling something you don't want to know about, okay? So, there we go. The Young Jedi is crushing over here, though. Look at this, 1309. Oh, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, okay. Boomer Google. I'm sorry, Abdul, I didn't know, I was afraid. Okay, so dude has not done much over here. And first we're going to give him a let's go. And when did they start here? We'll just cruise on down. Join the dojo November 22nd. But it's yet to kind of, well, let's see, backup one. Yeah, it hasn't been logging their business. The no stress. Oh, okay. So sometimes what we're seeing is we're seeing people who book games in, but not logging their activity. And as I said earlier, it helps yourself and people like me, maybe your friends, looking at your activity to be like, okay, this is what Young Jedi is about. He's not a tech guy. Okay. I'm not a tech guy either. Here we go. Let's look at a game. All right, fine. This is still fine. Usually knight f, knight f3, and now knight b3. Okay, honestly, I've never seen this before, but you could probably play chess this way. cd, queen takes, knight f6, knight f3. Knight c6, queen takes, knight takes. Okay, good. So we are going to have ourselves a little endgame. Now, I haven't seen this game, but we're going to do a little thought. We're going to do a little experiment. Who will castle? And so we'll call it a judgment on the chess skill if somebody castles, that we don't want them to castle. Maybe white castling long, that's acceptable. But what I'm trying to get at is a lot of times what I see in this kind of position is that both players castle short, and we need to understand that that is undeveloping the king. The king really wants to be in the center to do things. If nothing else, just to guard a lot of the central squares where black or white's pieces might try to infiltrate. c3. Okay, a little bit slow. And let's talk about this endgame for a second, because it's hard. By the way, it would be great if we had times, because here what I often see is people are like, oh, this is easy, or, you know, I don't know what to do, so let's just move fast. It's a tale of opposite sides. White would like to generate some play on the queen side because they've got an extra pawn there. Black, on the other hand, wants to do something on the king side. Okay, so for me, the candidate moves would be bishop d2 and a3. And I know a3 goes against everything you guys hear me say all the time. But the point of a3 would be to kick this knight. And we can't kick it yet until we've denied knight b4. Okay, c3, bishop d6. I'm not sure about that. And then it's as if a prophecy. A prophecy has been foretold, and the prophecy was fulfilled. Okay, so let's talk about it a little bit. In this position, a nice idea for black, there's more than one, like that's a good default move, for example. But a simple move to play would be f6 with the idea of, it's not there, of putting the king here. Well, very solid. The knight dominates, the pawn dominates this knight. The king will be active in the center. I want to stress that. The king will be active in the center. We do not want to undevelop the king, right? And similarly, white should be thinking of either moving the bishop and putting the king up, or putting the king here where it can also be active, right? Okay, so bishop d6. This bishop d6, by the way, I feel really encourages us to think about putting a rook on this file. So notice that the d file will be where the rooks will eventually go, but all of both sides are putting their pieces there when ultimately they're going to have to leave. Rook e1. I agree with you. Rook d1 is better. Now, we often see this in the annotation of endings, and I say it all the time, but the way to learn endings is to think about what's going on here. So both sides, not both sides, but the young Jedi is not, it's as if there's nothing going on here. And I want to stress, there's loads going on here. So bishop c4, what's the problem? You're losing a tempo, right? Is it easy to figure out exactly what to do here? No, it isn't. But bringing this rook to this file should be a priority. And now, again, the bishop is loose there. Bishop e8, not a bad move. Bishop c2. Now, this is a little tricky because now we've given him this square, and the bishop might be faced with tricks with like rook a c8, knight c4. Black plays this, okay. Good, good, okay, well done. Now, the real trick here is black should be thinking about knight a4, and probably on the last move even, knight a4 would really kind of hamstring the, because you got to probably play something nasty like rook a b1, right? So these are little endgame tricks to increase our position. Good move. Now if knight a4, we can play bishop c1. Okay, he gets a little frisky. Nota bene, though, I don't think it does anything. You know, you play bishop e4, well, even just bishop b1. I'm not sure what this is doing. Okay, good move, bishop c1. Notice the bishop is developed on c1. Rook d8. The knight coming to c5 c4 was paralyzing my position. I was on back foot whole game. Hold on, game's just starting here, buddy. Game's just starting. Oh, you're doing fine. The knight coming to c4 is now dominated by your bishop on c4. You're doing okay. Now, what would I want you to do? I want you to develop the king, boss. Let's bring him back in. Actually, don't do it yet. Don't do it yet, though, because of knight e3. We got to be a little careful. But in general, that's what we want to be doing. I'm not sure. Okay. Yes, I get it. It's a little hard. But you're fully in control here, buddy. You could play knight a5. That looks fine. And who's in control here, right? We got things like c4 coming, touching this coconut. We're not lost. This is a woe is me comment. I was on back foot whole game. Oh, there's all kinds of things happening here. Good. Okay. Now notice where you are in the back foot, okay, is you don't know what to do, and so you're floundering. And I'm trying to say that in a way that doesn't sound mean, but it happens to all of us, okay? You're floundering. Now b4 maybe not, because yes, c4. Okay. Knight g4. Okay. Knight c2. Snip snap. a5. Let's bring the king in. King f1. Very nice. A little funky. Thank you. Oh, good. Good. Now we need a plan. So b3 is not ideal because eventually our bishop is going to want scope to do something. Are we a little worse here because of the black having the bishops? Yes, we are. Okay. Okay. So now it's important to understand this. You'll have this as the black pieces now too. It's a very unpleasant position because the bishops are so strong. I'm going to give props to Royal Flush here. Rook a8 is a nice move. No trade for you, buddy. Now that one, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. But he is allowing a trade, which at least we can dream about getting rid of one of our coconuts here. Now, this rook coming to a3 is our problem, right? Let's see if we can do something about it. Well, maybe it's still just very unpleasant. That's unpleasant. Oh, very unpleasant. The bishops are amazing. And I want to say I like the way he concluded this thing with a4. And, you know, it's still not done. And I think a move like bishop b1 is what you need to do. You're not toast yet. But after this, you might be toast. And it's an instructive position because your knight is dominated by these pawns. And rook a3 is just, I don't know how you're going to stop it. Boom. And then it's just all the coconuts are falling, right? Yeah. Okay. That was very instructive. So, a couple things. Don't become depressed, okay? Despondency can happen to anybody, but you will not win any games with despondency. You get some end game, and you were floundering, and the way to do it is to review your games. Review this section and have some thoughts about how we can improve our pieces. And now, what you will begin to see is the prophecy. Well, you'll see it all the time. People castling when there's no point in castling. Notice just a couple moves later, you guys are like, oh yeah, let's move it back. Let's move it back, buddy. Let's go. Okay. And Abir says, should white expand on queenside with pawns? Yes. Yes. That's why in this position, a3 makes some sense. Okay. Kraai is going to mark this as reviewed. And I want Young Jedi to put in some of the things that they are doing so that they can keep track of it and we can see it. Okay. So let's go back. That was Young Jedi. And now we have Siuzum. And Siuzum writes, the real thing that allowed me to graduate was switching from rapid to classical, where I play orders of magnitude better. Before joining the dojo, I'd been stuck at this rating range for about a year, but I finally identified and fixed my problem. I remember at dojo talks where the sensei talked about how sometimes being stuck in chess is like not being able to improve at driving because you had an orange stuck in your tailpipe. Okay, and that's what it felt like for me to finally switch to classical time formats and play good chess. I don't have any recollection of the orange, but we do a lot of dojo talks. Okay. Improvement comes when you have a little time to think. Absolutely. Okay. So, let's go look at Siuzum. 28. Live in Montreal. Program video games for a living. Chess is hard, so I need to get better at it, or I'll never be able to live with myself. Oh, now we're going to follow that. We're going to follow Siuzim. Okay, now you can see what Siuzim is talking about. That's a pretty good progress here. Now, it is, got to say, it wasn't actually a graduation, right? Yeah, be mindful. Be mindful of the graduation. That's not it. Okay, let's take a look, though. Activity will go down. Oh, see, they were at 12, 1300. I think they might have clicked into the wrong one. Clubs, Quebec Dojo. Okay, I didn't even know that was there yet, but that's cool. And we got several games. So, Siuzim, also, put your business in here. Put it in. All right, so here's Siuzim. Almost won this game against a 2200. Okay, let's take a look. This was a quick game. Okay. Yeah, it's a little weird. Fine. Yeah. I don't know about knight d2. I don't know about that move either. Your moves, though, make good sense to me. I like you're opening the bishops, you're targeting f3. No, I like what you did. Knight f4. And now you take this guy's coconut. But I'm wondering, is it really necessary to take that coconut? One move that really appeals to me, for example, is queen h4. And we're talking. We're giving white a little talking to here, you know? And this is kind of, I think, the dream of this opening setup. And notice that, let me just talk about the dream of the Sicilian. And this is in general, whether you're playing a Najdorf, a Kahn, or something else. You often go down 1,000 tempi in development, but your idea is that your pawns will constrict the white pieces. And so white has to do something immediately. But at this level, especially, they're going to flounder, right? They're going to just give you a lot of time. And then all of a sudden, you're on top of them. Look at the beauty of those pieces. Okay, so you're a bishop lover. Okay. They might have thought that they were trapping something. Okay. Okay. A little weird, right? That wasn't the right square. You should say something about it when they do that. And now you're going to talk about knight b2 or, what you did here with bishop e4. Yeah. Nota bene, a big problem that we see from your opponent, we see it a lot at this level, is they've got a bad piece. They did it to themselves, honestly, and now they're not going to fix it, and they're going to go play with, they're going to try to create some drama. So this looks reasonable. That looks very reasonable. And now they're lost. That's probably fine. For whatever reason, I want you to play king h8, but okay, this can't be bad. Good. Now, one thing about the Sicilian, by the way, is once you get that big bad knight on e5, it's hard. It's hard to do anything about it. I don't see a threat yet. Okay. Okay, this needs to be talked about because he's not really threatening anything here. And it's time for us to find something a little bit more coherent. Giving him the pawn and access to d6, I don't know. Maybe it's just winning, Kraai, and you need to shut up. It's just winning, buddy. In any case, it makes me a little nervous. And rook e3 maybe is what he should have done. Good move, I think. That looks convincing. And that looks at least like a plan for the guy. All right, so the game is still winning, but it's a little complicated. I like it. I like it. Uh-oh, I didn't like it. Finally, I cracked. It was the right idea. Yeah. Yeah. And let's look at your variation. Nice. And you're right. One thing too, I'll say this, is when you play the Sicilian, you got to be good at all these crazy tactics. You're gonna get a lot of games like this, right? And this is just a dirty, cheap shot. And honestly, I kind of fell for it too, because I was just like, your game is playing itself. You're crushing this fool, and then boom, we're toast. No me likey, no you likey either. See, use them in the chat. Nice. So, yeah, I think you're playing some pretty good chess. And you're now at 1200, 1300, allowed to do some opening work. So it's okay. And you could start thinking about analyzing this kind of game, because you'll get a lot of it, right? Like, whether bishop f3 is a good move or not, what's terrible about what white does is he just kind of shuffles his pieces, and all you need to do as black is then catch up in development, right? A lot of GMs just play with the mindset, like, if I can make it to the middle game, late middle game as a Sicilian player, then I'll be better. And it's usually true. But, you got to make it there. And if white just flounders the pieces, you're going to make it there, right? Okay, good. Let's mark that as reviewed. And then boom, we'll go back. And now we have Jack, also in the same cohort. Jack is flying up. We'll follow Jack. Oh, look at that. Now, I think Jack just joined recently. At least that's what it looks like. Put in a little bit of time. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to expect to see some games here. Got a little bit of tactics. Clubs. UK Dojo. Nice. I love this new clubs thing, man. Like, for example, Jack isn't telling us where he lives or anything, but now at least clubs and be like, oh, another of our UK people. Great. Okay, let's get in here. Boom. My opponent had a rating of 1911. Rated classical game. Now, that's probably elite chess rating is what we're talking about. It's, again, pretty fast game with, looks like 30 plus 20. Now, I'm going to be surprised if all of that we see is really theory or something, but we'll take a look. A little frisky. Okay. Okay, it's at least clever. Black played that pretty well, right? Okay, now you played a3. All of that we can talk about, right? We could say some things about what just went down. a3, I don't like. Why? Because you need to castle. We know that you need to castle. Queen a5, I don't like. What needs to happen? They need to move the knight out. So this move makes a lot of sense. That move, I can't do it. I can't do it, Bose. I can't do it. Oh, man. Okay, he wants to play b4. Okay. This is the kind of play where you're going to end up getting wrecked. You need to just castle. You can do your fancy b4 stuff later. There's a lot about black. Notice black didn't really fix any of their problems. They blocked their bishop now. They blocked their rook. This square was far more natural. Why they had to go to d8, I don't know. Okay, now we need a good move. Now we also need a good move. So here's the problem. In this position, you got more space, right? And you don't have your light square bishop. So the dynamic that I think we should recognize is that if black can break out, they're going to be better. And in particular, I think they would want to, if I was black, I would want to castle f6, fix my knight. There's a variety of ways to try to fix that knight. We have a couple moves to try to do something, and it's not easy. Fighting for the c-file generally isn't going to do it. That c6 knight is a rock, and you're trying to move a rock. Now, do I have great ideas of what you should play here? Not necessarily. But I do know that we need to do something pronto. That's something I feel like I know. It's a spicy position. One bit of spice, for example, would be f4. Am I threatening f5? I think so. It's pretty hot. But it's important to see that white needs to undertake something immediately, or they are going to lose the little bit of time advantage that they have. Good move. Good move. And notice this opens the door for later bishop e8. f4. Boom, boom. Notice now that f-file is just raging for black. Now bishop g5 happens, and maybe, for my liking, I would be much more interested in bishop e8. Yeah. Good. I mean, I say good all the time, and then I'm blundering. It is the right idea. It is the right idea, man. Dang. These people are finding the tactics today, dude. Twice I've been like, oh, that's the right idea. And then it's been like, nope, that was wrong. That's wrong, buddy. You blew that one. So. Oh, I shouldn't have looked at the Discord. We got a problem, just like everyone, of people cheating sometimes in our tournaments, and then it's just like, the good news is it's happening far less than in Chess.com or Lichess. Far, far less. In fact, my student Jamil, he's playing a cheater. I think we looked at it. It's like 2 out of 5 games. And once you're up, he's like 2,000, almost 2050 now. And the level is just so insane, you know. Anyways, we have far less, but we do have it. And then it's like, you know, I get a message, and what am I supposed to do about it? I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I really don't. Okay, Jack, you're doing pretty good. And I want to encourage you to look more deeply at the annotations. And now that you're 13, 14, you can do an opening system. I can recommend the easy system against the French boss. Right here, you could have done it. Yeah. Okay, so, got to mark this as reviewed. And then we'll get out of here. So that was Jack. And next up, we got Rudy Vaughn, who I feel like I was just looking at Rudy Vaughn. So, Lichess Classical, 1364, beautiful, nice upward jump. Let's look at the activity. It looks like Rudy Vaughn probably doesn't have much going on here. Joined fairly recently. Games, no games. Clubs, no clubs. Training plan. Hasn't really done much yet. So, Rudy Vaughn, bows. I know why I recognize you, because I think you graduated last week too. You've been graduating like crazy. Put in your business, put in some games, and we'll take it from there. Okay. Oh, I get a little treat for myself. And, okay, we're going to go back to Rudy Vaughn over here, and that's Andy is next. Let's see what's going on with Andy. Andy's also graduating like a maniac. Look at that. Phew. I'm going to guess also not putting in all of their business. Let's take a look. Well, done some work. Done some work. What's their non-dojo? Little blitz and rapid. Okay. Games and analysis. I've played a little blitz today for fun, but I didn't mark it down as non-dojo. I just was like, I'm just relaxing. It's just to relax a little bit. We got some clubs. UK Dojo. Okay, here we go. Oh, we got some games. Okay, so what the amount of games shows me is that Andy's not marking all the stuff down that they're doing, because this is great. Okay. Blindly going with the London. Fine. Weird, right? Loss of time. C3. Okay, now I get to yell at you. Now I get to yell at you. So, I see this all the time, and this gives London players a bad rep. Okay? Because what you're doing with C3 is you are simply conforming to a pattern that you've seen. Now, sometimes in the London, sure, C3 makes sense. Here, it makes no sense, right? No sense. So the plausible moves were be what you suggested, Bishop D3, and you're kind of right about it a little bit too. Yeah. Bishop E2 even, I like better than what you did. Okay? Two piece moves while still not developed. Thank you. Queen B3. This looks much more positive. Jesse correctly, this is a developing move with tempo forcing B6 in response, not a developing move for bishop. Now, he's already talking to me. He's talking to me in the notes. And Boomer GM needs to Google IIU meaning, because I don't know what that means. What is independent integrity? What? Islamic University? I don't know what that means, man. Somebody help. Okay, but yes, Queen B3 makes more sense. Bishop E2 makes more sense. So Bishop D6, Queen B3, B6. Now that doesn't look correct in Mundo, does it? Now, one thing we should say is that Bishop D6 looks natural, but it's a little tricky because sometimes there'll be discoveries upon that bishop. So, for example, Black might have been concerned about, say, Queen C7 and then some kind of knight move. Bear with me. Like here. Now, if you take, I will go snip, snop, snip. Does it work? I don't know. Might be a concern. And then, of course, Bishop F4, Knight H8, Bishop D6. Does it work? Probably not, but a concern. In any case, B6 is a clear loss of tempo, and it softens the light squares over here, which is kind of problematic because this bishop is now outside of those squares. Thank you. Poor. Good. Okay. Now, why did we do that? Big mistake, losing all my advantage. So, let me stress it. We do this every show. Be a miser about time. You know? He's giving you time. You take it. You say, thank you very much. Okay. Black thought pressure from Queen H4 was bad for White. This I actually had calculated and didn't think that this was bad. But then when I look at the computer, I made bad calculation. Okay. Now G3 maybe, and you talk about Knight E4, Bishop E4, and honestly, I just want to stress this is a normal move. I get it. You might be terrified of this, but he's not. He hasn't entered into the company, retreat yet. He hasn't entered in there yet. Now he's entering a little bit. You do this. Boom. Fancy. Okay, a little fancy. Good. And now, we just got to say it's a little pleasant to be Black, but it's still very complicated. That is something I don't understand. So a good move could be h5, both messing with the g4 idea, as well as maybe later h4, trying to crank you open. Good move. Good move. Queen a4. Now that's a fancy move. So white is like, I can take my time. We could maybe analyze FE. I get it, that's a little complicated. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Oh, well done. Oh, yeah, this is the way we play against people who don't develop their pieces, Bows. Dang, take it easy. This is what they deserve. Okay, so good game. And what I really want to see, especially at this level where we're coming out of the 1000s, is you're going to play a bunch of people who give you time, and you're doing it too, right? Like moves like c3. And I want you then to learn how to punish these people, to get religious about your own time usage, and then to punish those who give you time, right? Good. Let's mark this as reviewed, and we'll go back. Next up, we have Oppenheimer. And we'll go over here. Already graduated once, joined in February this year. Crushing improvement. Hasn't been logging. Well, let's see. Hasn't been logging their business. Clubs, no clubs. Games, one game. So you could at least tell us that you did this game, Bows. Okay, here we go. Knight f6 can't be wrong. Can't be wrong. Can't be wrong. No, it's okay that you don't know anything. Now here, don't look at the engine move. Knight c6, come on, it's fine. Fine. And now you play cd, and it's a little weird. Now there are actually a lot of strong players who play cd in positions like this. And so you shouldn't be thinking too much about it. In the notes, I feel a little bit what's going on is you're looking at the engine moves. And for example, knight h5 maybe is a fine move, but that's the engine talking, because the engine loves the bishops, right? So let's just say, playing from a principled perspective here, some standard moves could be d5, you know, fine. Bishop e7, you're doing okay. So cd, ed, not the end of the world. Okay, okay. A little weird. Stockfish likes very much to go into this Queen's Gambit decline position, but since I just changed from playing QGD, I was rigid. Okay, but look, it has nothing to do with the openings. What does rook e8 do? It's not clear. If you want to play d6, play d6, but this bishop must get out. Must. It can't be just sitting around. We're just neglecting it. We're just totally neglecting it, yeah? Knight e5. Not moving a developed piece twice. How many times are you going to say it, Kraai? Now, a move that would have been probably annoying for you would be bishop g5. Well, that creates some tension. d6, I like it in principle. I don't know. And this bishop g5 move has been staring at me for a while. And e5 is interesting. Again, I want to talk about bishop g5. Yeah. And you talk about b5. Good. I like it. Yeah, not sure. Now, when you say plus minus, that's very confusing to me. That's very confusing to me. Like maybe the computer is saying plus minus, but imagine it this way. With knight f3, it's probably true you're going to lose a pawn. But with the pawn, I would say, you know, generally we would say that's a clear advantage for you, not lost. Now we're lost, right? So we got to move. We got to move the queen to B7 or something. Is it pretty? No, it's not pretty. But, it's not plus minus yet. The computer might say it's plus minus, but it's, still a game. We just lost the pawn. And here it's a little weird to play B5 because, hey, what does he want to do? He wants to take your pawn bows. So we can get ready for it any number of ways. Bishop B6 maybe, right? Okay, so Oppenheimer, I encourage you to not use the engine right away. If you want to use it after you've thought about the game in your own head, brilliant. But don't do it right away. It takes away your ability to see the game from a human perspective, right? So let me give you an example. Knight H5, maybe, sure. But think about it this way. The engine can play like a genius with the bishop versus the knight. Can we? Can you? I don't know. Think about it. Think about it. Consider this. World champions before Fischer thought of the bishop as equal to the knight. Now, you can say they were wrong. You can say they were chumps, but they were definitely stronger than me and you, right? So this is what I mean by the engine is a little bit misleading. And for us, it would be like, I need to develop bows, right? Develop. Get this guy out. That's how you got into trouble, was not developing. So let's continue. And now we have a Wen chess. The Polgar mates feel like they have opened my third eye. Very good. Very good. I want to say, there's a couple things when we started the dojo training program ages ago that I wasn't sure. I knew they would help people's chess, but I was not convinced that people would actually do them. One was annotating the games, and as you can see, people are doing great. The other was the Polgar mates. I thought, oh, these people, they're going to protest, But a lot of people understood, as I did, kind of just by doing it. It's like, oh, yeah, Polgar mates, man, crushing, absolutely necessary. The layups of chess. So, this guy's a freak. He's a French and Penko player. With your least favorite piece, the light square bishop. Interesting. Okay. That's funny. All right. So, 1421, doing great. ChessCom. Let's look at the activity. We'll back it up 22 hours. Now, let's just say something obvious. I say this every time. As we go up the cohorts, the people who are writing their time down, it's a little bit more time that they're taking to make it to the next level, right? Let's click on this just so we can see got 420 mates in 2. Beautiful. Pepper Chess, thank you for gifting these tier 1 subs. These people need it, buddy. They need some tier 1 subs. So, clubs? No? London. Join that UK club. The idea of the clubs, by the way, many ideas, but let's say you're in London and you can find somebody who's at your level. Well, then you guys can do the sparring in real life, for example. They tell me in London, though, just to go like a mile, it takes like 3 hours. That's what they tell me, man. I don't know if that's true. Okay, we do have a game here, and it's going to be a bird, as the man is true to his word. Okay. Fine. 94. Well, what's going to be the main thing that we're going to see? People giving away time. So, gives away time. We say thank you very much. And we say thank you very much. And now we need a good move. You play King H1. Now, I'm a little, well, actually, let's see. I see what he means. So what he means by 31-36 is that he thought for quite a bit and went from 37 down to 31. Now, it might be a good point to talk about the idea of intuitive versus calculation moves. So an intuitive move would be something where you're not necessarily calculating, but you do have to kind of formulate a plan. Those ones you do not want to be spending forever on, because you're going to need the time later for when it gets hot. This position, I can see it already. The heat will happen, right? For sure. So those are the kinds of moves that we want to play relatively quickly. And King H1 is a little abstract, right? I would say the standard moves in this position would be knight e5. Now you're going to yell at me. You're going to be like, hey, Baus, did you just say not to do it? And I don't like it here, honestly, because f6, you kind of pushed me away. That's a thought still. But the other one is queen e1. And sometimes in this position, they even go bishop d1 and e4. We would love to get that e4 off. So king h1, bishop f6. Now we play knight e5, because there is no f6. Thank you very much. Now, before you call me a heretic, because I'm moving a developed piece twice, let's stress what's going on in this whole setup. When we play f4, we are working on a dream, and the dream is called Federico the f-pawn. Now, Federico needs to eventually move out of the way, sometimes to get out of the way of this bishop, but in this case, for our rook to be utilized, right? So in a lot of ways, when we play a move like knight e5, we're trying to, get the rook involved when we play this. And of course, this is just a nice move because we come over here. And this move looks nice, but no, unless you can crack my piece, you're not doing it over there. He gives us the light squares, the dark squares, you say, thank you very much. And that's an ugly move. Okay. So now we do need to make a decision, and you played bishop f3. And right, found bishop f3 a tough decision to make. Considering a rook lift, rook f3, g3, considered e4 immediately, considered bishop g4. Feels like a position where I want to prepare e4. Okay. It's interesting. Now, one thing, of course, is you're setting up a dirty trick, I think, with bishop d5. And this is, by the way, the kind of position where we want to play it quickly in the game, but then afterwards we definitely want to spend some time, because you'll have positions that are kind of similar where you need to find a plan. One thing that I think can be confusing for the black player here is, do we want to attack? A lot of times in these kinds of setups we can attack. But the issue is this thing is really a beautiful defender. I think it's going to be really hard to mate black with that defender over there. So what do we want to do? We want to open the game. So e4 is definitely a thought. I don't know if we're in a rush to do it, though. I like your move. And let's play e4 now. Let's open it up, Baus. Come on. You do it next, though. It's fine. Good move. And that's probably reasonable from black, too. Just sit. And now you say, pop. Now, this move maybe is okay, but I want you to see that when you do it, you activate our friend over here, right? Now, I get it. You have an issue. This pawn is being attacked. By the way, are you better here? Oh, yeah. You're definitely better. And your move might be fine, too. But I also like d4 followed by c4, just saying, we're not going to set you free. This has to be good, what you did. And here, I'm a little confused why you didn't do it right away with c4. But you did this fine. d4. Okay. So notice, we could have done this. If we were going to play d4, we could have done it earlier where I said, and then we hold the tension on e4, keep this bishop limited, and we can take on d5 whenever we want. a6, what is that? A loss of time. Thank you. And now this is a little problematic to play c5, because you want to open the position, and this is not opening the position. So when you criticize yourself here, this is the moment to be like, okay, well, what should I have done? What should I have done here? And you've got several moves. Let's talk about it a little bit. You could play bishop a3. That looks interesting. You could even take, which looks wrong at first, but notice what's going to happen is you're going to get this knight into here if they take back with a knight. Yeah, and in general, let me stress, you want to open the position. And there's a variety of waiting moves, building moves you could play here. Bishop a3 strikes me, though, as the most natural. See, now you're going to go for this, but notice, he has got reasonable control over the light squares. And now your bishop on b2 is terrible. Now, hilariously, you were talking in your notes about how the light square bishop is not your friend, but now neither of them are really your friends. They've lost a lot of dynamism by you blocking off this diagonal and then making this a stone cold wall. Now it's just a stone cold wall, right? All right, so let me just look over here. Sometimes, my friends, I'm looking over at the YouTube, and I'm not great. I'm usually on the Twitch, but I'm looking over there at the YouTube watching too. But there's a little less people, though. Less people watching on the YouTube. All right, knight c6, a3. More ambitious would be bishop c3, so that we could play a4 next. Again, we want to open the position. Maybe. Now this is a little frisky because black is opening it for us. Oh, I don't like it. I don't like it. Yeah. So this whole thing that black did, I wasn't into it. He opened the position for you. And now that d5 pawn is a wreck. We definitely need to talk about this move. You have other moves. Let's talk about this position. You are doing great, and we have to be wary that this knight wants to come here. This pawn is under dire attack. Or excuse me, it's weak, and we'd like to do something about it. Unfortunately for us, queen f3 looks like this hangs. So by all means, the natural moves would be rook here and knight here, right? I don't understand this one. Don't really understand that one either. You're going after the wrong pawn, buddy. We want the pawn on d5. And black has yet to understand that they need the knight, excuse me, they need the knight here. That's a good trick anyway, I don't know. Holy moly. g4 and pray. I like that note. Oh, well, black definitely walked into it. Nah, that isn't going to work. Uh-huh. Adios, muchachos. Now, we got to talk about this. Yeah, I feel like you're missing that bishop g5 hangs rook f5. Could you do other things? Oh, we should ask. That's good, though, isn't it? Oh, we got a lot to talk about here. Okay, it's winning. Again, so I always want to stress a win. A little bit more. Notice you start off really good. You're talking a little bit about stuff. And then when we get to the scrum of things, where really you should be pushing your tactical and strategical ideas, you taper it off. You get this whole bit where I don't know, to me, this is a really interesting decision, f6. What could black have done other things? I don't know. There's a lot to think about. And was it wrong? Okay. So, let's go back. Oh, I have to mark this as red. And now we have Soccer Alexander, who I recognize because we have seen Soccer Alexander before. So, 1449, they had a great jump. Beautiful. Joined October last year. Oh, yeah. Now we'll get some good work. And we're going to see what they did in the previous cohort. That's pretty good work. Okay, lots of endgame. And some middle game strategy. Let's click on that. Some good books. All right, I like it. Some of this, hopefully we'll find a game. A little bit of tactics. Polgar mates in 2, a couple. Okay, good. Any clubs? The Austin Dojo. That's right. That's one of the things I remembered. So that's where Jack is, our beautiful coder genius, and also the amazing genius Knows All is also in Austin, Texas. Someday, Kraai, you got to go. I've never been to Austin, but I've been addicted to the LBJ series. 4 books out, 1 to go, and they talk a lot about Austin in that book, series of books. Okay, here we go. Boom. So, all right. E5 is a very frisky move. C3. Bishop D6. Okay. Now, let me just say, that's a weird move. That's a weird move. Yeah. Maybe Queen C7, maybe Knight F6. We should talk about it. Okay, here he comes. And the reason we should believe that white is better is because your bishop on C8, he ain't happy, son. He is just not a happy camper. Rook E8. And now bishop G5. Right. Now, one of the things, you're about to fall for a tactic, but something I want to stress is when your development is nasty, like this is, that's when the dirty tactical tricks are going to befall you. Right? So bishop G5. And here on ED4, you should tell us, what should you have done? It's not an easy position. You're under some pretty good stress. Maybe knight takes D4, for example. Good move. Boom. Yep. Bishop B4. And now you say knight BD2 or EF6. EF6 is, of course, the most natural. Yeah, so they blundered. Queen E7. And you say C5 to defend the pawn. Good, I can get behind that. Rook E4 is a pretty lackadaisical move. Good, good. Now you're crushing him again. Why? So weird. Why wouldn't you just? Well, it's time to take the pawn, bud. Why were you putting the rook there if you weren't going to take it, buddy? Beautiful 2-bishop position. Why are we given the coconut? Right? I'm guessing we don't have to give the coconut. Well, maybe we have to. You're saying we have to give the coconut. Because of rook AD8, G4. So this is the kind of thing that I really like to check. And you should check too, because we don't want to give our coconut away. So for example, rook AD8, G4. What happens if we go like here? Have they blown it? It looks to me like they've blown it. We hold all our coconuts together. There's no rook F5 because of queen G4. Okay, that's the kind of thing we want to find in the analysis. And in the game, we really want to struggle with not giving away our coconut. Because now, it's not toast. No, maybe white's even better now. Knight H4. Rook g3. By the way, he's just doing a bunch of cheap tricks. Actually, let me just stress something here. When you're at this level, they oftentimes don't have a strategic idea of what improving the position would look like, right? And so instead of improving the position, they're like, well, I'm going to create little threats, right? And here you fall for it with rook g3. With queen takes h4, I mean. Is rook g3 really all that helpful? No. Like, for one, let's talk about rook a d8. How about that, buddy? Who's touching whose nuts? These nuts. I think that, I don't know, you got to play queen c3, and in that case, if queen c3 is the best move, well, bows. We're doing great. The bishop, that knight is sidelined over there. So again, if you don't like a move, tell us what something better would have been in the eval. Now we're in a little trouble, of course. Good move. I think white probably had better than that. Would have been interesting to think about. Now we're again not lost. Queen d6. Woodpecker is paying off. Nice. Rook d4. Bang. So, are they toast? Queen d6 is a nice move, bud. Okay, so let's go back just a second. Good move. Pop. Queen h6. One of the things I want you to see, or just think about here, so rook d1, queen f8, is that the guy at no point is saying to himself, oh, buddy, I need to fix my king. And one of the strategic ideas here is to say that white should be better if they can consolidate their king, because long term your king is weaker, right? So again, they go for the cheap trick, and then you're like, let's punish, and that's a beautiful punishment. That's a welcome to the dojo right there. That's really nice. And what's cool about that is I do feel that's an advanced tactic, queen d6. And it's happening because your opponent was doing all these tricks instead of fixing, improving their position at some point, either g3 or h3, right? Yeah. Okay, good. Let's go back. Next up is Kitty Cuddy. And Kitty Cuddy joined us this year at his first graduation. Now, I think what happened is they made it, and then they fell down. That's kind of a bummer. But, that happens to the best of us. All right. So, activity. Let's go back one. And it looks like we might not have any games. We have an opening addict on our hand over here. Let's see what they're doing. Well, no, just a little bit of this and a little bit of that besides the openings. Okay. All right. Now, when you get to 1500, you are allowed to do some openings for sure. So I'm not criticizing that. It would be, of course, cool if we saw some games from Kitty Cuddy. Maybe we will. Maybe they just didn't register. No. Okay. So there it is, Kitty Cuddy. Next time, hopefully you'll get back to that ye old 1500, and then we can see some games. Next up, we have Luke. What's going on with Luke? We're going to follow Luke. Custom rating. I never know what that means. Now, Luke is on the USCF. That hasn't moved in a while. So, but has gained a bunch in the custom. Maybe if I hit clubs, I'll know where they're from. The European Chess Dojo. So maybe like of imagine a small European country with its own rating system, maybe something like that. Activity. Not much is going on here. Oh no, excuse me. So to get to this cohort, Luke really did a lot of work, and that's great. Look at that. That's a good macro distribution right there. And that looks great. Let's click a little bit. Tactics. Okay, good. Middle games. Okay, good. Oh, this is looking great. Nice. Ooh, did the rook endgame progression. Nice. Okay, here we go. Games. Ooh, loads of games. Loads of games. Nice. Some Finnish guy. Maybe we're in Finland. I don't know. Let's look at some Finnish guy. So this is against some Finnish guy. Oh, Samatahi study. That sounds like a Finnish name to me. So maybe Luke is from Finland and that's their custom rating. Okay, bishop e2. In fact, you know, there was a question. We have this thing on the Discord called the Sensei questions. People write in and ask their questions. And one of them was, what does it mean to play an unambitious move? And that is a great example. You know, just unambitious. They're just going to bring out their coconuts. In general, the bishop wants to be here, not only because it looks at this square, but also because eventually the rook wants to be over here in the e file. Okay, a little frisky, c4. I don't like it. If we're going to put our knight on d2 and not c3, then the pawn should be here to dominate this knight. c8. Okay. Probably unnecessary. Now you snip. And you like this position. Okay. Good. That's a good unambitious move. That's an unambitious move. Unambitious move. And good note. Why would you do it if you're just going back? Good. Now, this is part of the problem of the knight being on d2 and then going into the structure where we have, well, it's becoming idyllic at this moment. Knight f4 looks reasonable. And you write knight c7, also possible. I agree. Okay, you're doing great. Queen e7. Right. Now, let's look at your notes. Knight d4. Knight d4. And now you say that's winning for white. Maybe it is, but that's my question. That's my question. Is this winning for white? I don't know. I assume you would take it. And then this could get taken, right? And we got some questions to answer here. It looks good for you, though. Okay. So, Queen e7. I also am not a huge fan of the queen being there. And if I'm going to move the queen, maybe f6. Rook fd8, good. You didn't play it because you were scared. Okay. I'm glad, though, you're really identifying what the correct moves are, principled moves. Knight d4, tactics, rook fd8's just nice where the pieces belong. My question would be bishop b5. Could have done it last move too. And then I think we have, well, then we have to analyze this. It's not clear to me though, because bishop d7, knight e2, king somewhere. I don't know. Let's just put it there for a second. I don't know how we get the coconut. You know, there's some questions there for me. So, go ahead. Well, we'll say thank you very much. Good. Oh, beautiful. Passive. Good. Good. This is what they get. This is what they get. I would rather play g6, but okay. Good. Good. Okay, yeah, they're playing great. Playing great. That was a good game, Luke. That was a good game. And when some Finnish guy just moves his pieces around, this is how we want it to look. Yeah, this is the way we wanted it to look. Okay, good. Whew, I'm starting to fade, but the good news is we just have 2 left. So this is, I can't pronounce it, but I'm going to follow. And they joined September last year, 1636, looking pretty good. We have some activity. No, we don't have that much activity. So they joined and they graduated, but they're not putting anything in. No clubs, no games. So Kai, I'm going to call you Kai. Well, it would help everybody if you logged your business here. And now that you're part of this illustrious cohort, you know, maybe we'll see more of you. Phoebe the Pug. Let's go Phoebe the Pug. Using FIDE. Now, everybody got a huge FIDE boost. Phoebe the Pug also got a FIDE boost. So there's the boost. And you can see it's a little higher than the other ones, right? That's okay. So we're going to do, the idea for Dojo 3.0 is we are going to adjust the rating translations too. So we're going to be moving things a little bit around because of this FIDE boost. It changed everything. All right, let's look. Well, Phoebe, maybe not logging. Oh, no. Phoebe's doing a lot. So, non-dojo, good. And then we got endgames happening. That looks good. Some, oh, very nice. Very nice, Phoebe the Pug. Games analysis. So we probably will see a game. This looks mostly great. Let's check out the games here. 2 games. Okay, we'd like to see more, but we got 2. Banbury versus Cowley. Dude, I played for Cowley. 1992 to 1993. Yeah. Cowley. You know, it's funny, so many years ago, sometimes I forget the name Cowley, but that was definitely the team that I played for. That was like, I was in Oxford that year and played for Cowley. Adam Hunt was on that team. Harry and Hunt was on that team. Simon Ansell was on that team. We traveled all around the country, dude. Amazing. I was poor. It's great. So, here we go. I have a feeling he's from the dreaded Banbury. Okay. Fine. Okay. Good. Okay. So, and here a nice note. Now from here, I know that the black attacked with e5, e4 is not so dangerous. And it might be nice to just say why. And the reason is, if you play e5, e4, that you will then really have a French structure with reverse colors. And the bishop is not only a monstrous defender, so it's hard to actually make the attack work, but also the bishop will be looking into the black position. E8, queen c2, okay, good. So they just walked right into what I would call a strategic mistake. Now, it's not black's not lost or anything, but this is a strategic mistake for black to play this way. Up to here, I'm comfortable. Fish gives 1.7 to white. Since I lost, I must have done a lot of mistakes. So the thing that we're going to look for, actually, is did you understand the narrative that I just expressed? Did you have a good French, right? And I'll be able to tell if you understood that narrative based on the way things go. It's interesting that Stockfish understands it, too. It's not immediately obvious to me why the machine would get it, because to me it's a human truth. Okay, a5. First of all, a5 controversial because black is moving on our side of the board, right? We are playing a French. Our pawns are pointing this way. This is going to be our side of the board. This will give us more squares, such as b5, to infiltrate in. You play a3. I think that's fine. We could play b4 next. Probably okay. Might be a little weird. Let's play b4. Nice. So far, you're doing fine. Stockfish gives 3.3, and I managed to lose. Well, this is where the machine might not be helping us. Okay, now you played rook a2. It feels mostly reasonable. And now c5 is very controversial because of this. Two things. This d6 coconut is happening, and also you have the ability to shut everything down with d5. So you took. I think it's okay. They took back this way, and you did that. Maybe. I do want to say your position is winning after d5. That is to say, I don't think there's any hope left. Toast. Difficult. Problemito. You know? There's big troubles here. Now, maybe what you did is also winning, but it's a little bit more complicated. Looks natural. Okay. Maybe you missed that. And the game really falls apart here. So one thing I'll just stress is you're winning strategically here, and you know, you need to keep in mind a lot of the narratives of the position. So when we play d5, we are killing this thing. We own the blockade square, right here, and they can barely move, you know. This one is very natural, but it's more tactical because you have to now worry about this a little bit. You have to worry about this, and then all of a sudden things kind of the milk went bad over here. Yeah, and it's not super simple anymore, at least for me, to figure out exactamundo how you play this. You went here, maybe. Why aren't we playing rook takes a7? Because now we're just losing this coconut. And black won at move 53. Okay. So, PB the Pug. First of all, to me, this couple things about this. It's the kind of game where you should recognize that you did know something, namely that this plan e5, e4 was not especially good for black. You now know that the machine even agrees. But it would be good when you do this in the annotations to first express why. Right? To me, it's about this bishop being a god. Right? Normally, imagine you're in the French and you got it here. What a difference. It's not just because it's more active on h2, but on h2, how is black ever going to mate you? That's their side of the war. They got to come mate us. How are they going to do it? No one knows. And then later, you know, you're using the stockfish to guide you, and it's not helping because you need to understand this through your eyes, right? Okay, everybody, that is me being done with today's show. It was a joy, and we are going to raid somebody. Who are we going to raid? I don't know. Now, we always, you know, Abdul gets mad at me when I raid random people. You know, he's like, what? Who? But I'm going to raid some random people. Let's raid the STL Chess Club. Maybe, who knows? Who knows what's going on over there? You never know. This has been a show about the graduates from the Chess Dojo training program. I do this every Wednesday, 1,000 plus, usually under 1,000 plus on Wednesdays. Next week, I think it's a spring break. My kids are out, so I might not be able to hold the same schedule, but I will get it done somehow. All right, everybody. Bye, and check out the Chess Dojo training program.